Welcome back for game number 3 between Hiwi and vsRoller. And both players is playing on the exact same spots as in the last game. But instead of Roller being white, he's now orange. So orange Terran is Roller, Hiwi is the purple Protoss. And if you haven't watched the previous videos just yet, Hiwi is the player known as 458 and vsRoller is the player known as Voss. And these two players have a long history of playing against each other. They know each other very well. They are even in the same clan. HS, no idea what it stands for, but it means... yeah, it's just usually a combination of two words, no idea what it means. Can't even tell you what it means, don't know why I even mentioned and it means, but... you get the idea of what I'm trying to convey, I'm sure. So Hiwi starts off with the pylon, 2 gateways as he did last game. Yeah, there's the 2 gateways. He's gonna stick to those 2 gateways and he's never going for the Nexus first again. Not against Roller, because Roller will just immediately go for a very aggressive build, as he displayed in the very first game. And as shown in the previous game, this proved to be the most effective build, although it almost went wrong for Hiwi. It almost went wrong for Hiwi. But Roller, well, he kind of had some bad luck last game. So instead of starting off with 2 barracks, this time Roller starts off with 3 barracks. Well, he had a lot of success in just 2 barracks last game, but 3 barracks is always better than 2. And there is the probe and the SCV. They found each other, so both players now know that they're pretty much on the same spots again. And he doesn't find the pylon in the choke, so he just redirects his SCV to the top middle spot, and this probe just happily scouting along, getting information for the remainder. And there's already a bunker being thrown down, but there are 2 zealots almost finishing production there, almost finishing being warped in. I do think the SCV will be able to finish the bunker, and the Marine does get into the bunker, but the SCV will die. No, he doesn't focus the SCV, he's gonna focus on the bunker instead. And because it's only a single Marine in the bunker, this might actually work. Oh yes, the SCV went down to 2 probes, they were focusing it down, and Roller forced to pull back. A single zealot does go down. Does some damage on the probes too. But these 4 Marines are now bravely hammering. No, they're pulling back. They want none of those 3 zealots that are chasing them down. Hiwi now on the offensive. And there's a... yep, Roller is regrouping. And there is an academy throwing down. And now Hiwi wants none of that, because now as Roller has regrouped his Marines, there are too many Marines for those zealots to fight into. So just a little bit of back and forth, putting both players hoping the other one makes a mistake. But Hiwi splits up his zealots and the Roller makes the first mistake, being overzealous. No, he pulls back just in time, noticing the surround that Hiwi was going for. And nothing happens as of yet, just back and forth. Oh, yep. No, the Marine doesn't get cut out. No, not yet. And here, his Marines do block themselves out. This is a very good situation for Hiwi, as Hiwi now gets a really good engage on these Marines that Roller had going out and in. So his own Marines blocked him out, but now he just gets a really nice regroup at his own barracks. And Hiwi again moving out. And there's a very solid fight happening on just 2 gateways from Hiwi. So there's some really considerable control from both players in this back and forth and back and forth. And Hiwi gets a really good surround on the Marines, but there's too many Marines for these zealots to really make a difference into. Micro will not win you that fight, although he did take down 5 Marines, but he also lost 4 zealots, or 5 zealots in that exchange. As one of the zealots were already low from that back and forth fighting. There is a Citadel of Adun. There is no robotic facility for Hiwi. Hiwi is completely changing up his game plan. And Roller is already trying to be aggressive again. This guy he's just so brave, constantly trying to fight. He's going to wait for his medics to arrive and regroup with the units he has. And yeah, he's setting out the medics right now. He's going to try to be very aggressive and try to attack into these 3 cannons. But there's also 4 zealots there, and Hiwi ornament the pylon behind the cannon so he can retreat his cannon line deeper into his own base. Doesn't have to rely on the pylon here in the front. There's a pylon there in the back, supporting the cannons, empowering them with the force field or whatever it's called. And he goes in, he stims down a single cannon. Now he's stimming down the marines. He's stimming down the cannon first, but he's going to lose some marines to the zealots, and he pulls back, he miracles back. He lost a couple of marines, but he takes down 2 cannons. Now he just has to wait for another wave of marines to come walking in. Although there's a lot of zealots there standing now. Almost as many zealots as Roller has marines. And he's making the bunker in front of the zealots. Hiwi cannot cancel it, because marines protecting it, and now Roller decides to go in, but he's gonna lose a lot of his marines, but he kills all the zealots before he loses all of his marines, and he has 5 marines left. The 5 marines take down the cannon, and Roller has once again taken control of Hiwi's choke, but Hiwi is going for a completely different game plan this time around, as he's got 6 gateways finished already, and 6 gateways are all producing zealots. And Roller now realizes that he might be in for some serious trouble, because he has to choke up very, very, very quickly, because Hiwi will be able to overrun him. Or Roller could throw down a choke inside Hiwi's choke. That's also an option, considering he already has a turret there for detection. And he's being very, very aggressive again, trying to take down this pylon instead of keeping his units situated behind the bunker. Now he has the micro pack. There's 4 marines inside the bunker. The tank does get a good shot off, but there is too many zealots out there breaking through the choke. More marines coming in as reinforcements. There is no repair on the bunker. The bunker goes down, the units go down, and the Dark Templar is doing a lot of work taking down these marines without much effort. There's a Templar out there too. So he's going for the complete opposite of what we saw last game. Last game he went for the Reaver drop attack, but this time he's just going full on for the straight frontal attack. But Hiwi is now running into a wall that Roller very quickly threw down, and there is the Zealot lag upgrade has finished. Storm is almost finished. Dragoon ranged almost finished. And more tanks on the way for Roller. Roller now on 2 factories, 5 barracks. As we saw last game, he's been on 5 barracks every single game. There is a starport. And Roller has not decided to go for a robotic facility just yet. He's just going to stick to the frontal attack with Dragoons, Zealots, and Templars. Which might... I don't think it's going to work actually, because there is the wall. It's going to be very hard for these Zealots and Dragoons to get in there with all these bunkers. And the bunkers are protecting the Marines from storms, so that's a really good choice from Roller to throw down so many bunkers to keep his Marines alive against the storms. And Hiwi now attacks, but he immediately pulls back because he really notices the same thing that I just noticed a little bit earlier. You will not be able to overcome this with a frontal attack. So now he's just going to keep his units situated on the middle. Keep them there as a deterrent for Roller. And Roller is going to focus on building up his base, camping it out for just a little while. There are the robotic facilities we were talking about a little earlier. So he's going for 3 robotic facilities at the same time. Roller throws down the scans the middle of Hiwi's base, sees that there are no robotic facilities there, so he now probably, hopefully, assumes that the robotic facilities will be somewhere else in Hiwi's base. Hiwi is just grouping up his mass. Roller throwing down multiple depots at the same time because he has to expand very quickly. Because his very aggressive build did hurt his economy a little bit, but Hiwi says, oh, there is a tank drop flying in already. And will they hit any probes at all? This one does get a shot off, and he only kills 12 probes because Hiwi pulled most of his probes to his minerals very quickly. 12 probes is still a considerable amount of probes, but considering that Roller is still forced to be sitting in his base for at least a while, because moving out would... He definitely does not have enough units to move out yet. Doesn't really hurt Hiwi all that much, although it does slow down his ability to expand his base as quickly as he would have wanted to. Because 12 probes still is a considerable amount of income, but not as ideal as you would want it. And there he's throwing down cannons in the middle of his base. Yeah, let's just wait and see what both players are going to do. It looks like Roller is going to commit to tank drops from the safety of the walls surrounding his base and blocking off his front. And Hiwi is now going to pull back his units because he knows that more tank drops are going to come in, because that's something Roller always does. He's just going to throw down tank drops continuously and try to hit the minerals, and now the tank drop flies in from the right side, but he's kind of just finishing up, and I don't think either of these will get a shut off. No, neither tanks get a shut off, as Hiwi very quickly responds by having his zealots attack the tanks. Another drop from the other side is now already flying in from the left side, and this time the tanks do get to go into siege mode, and all of the probes have already been pulled to safety on the gas. But the downside of this for Hiwi is that he has to pull his probes off time and time again. As you can see, his minerals are very low because he hasn't had any income for a while. And Hiwi, being very smart, throws down more nexuses to deal with the rare situation that he would lose his probes to a tank drop, and also to get these 3 gas here in the top corner filled for more gas income. Although he currently has quite a bit of a gas overmine, so he doesn't need them yet. There is... I just saw something, but it's gone. Oh, there's the observatory. I clicked on it earlier. Just making that in case Roller is going for vultures. Last game we saw him go for vultures pretty late into the game, and the vultures slowed down Hiwi's ground attacks just a little bit. Does he not have shuttle speed? The shuttles were moving quite slow, so he might not have shuttle speed, but he has some other upgrades. Oh yeah, he has shuttle speed. I was completely wrong, my bad. Sometimes you just move really slow when they move a very small amount of distance. He's grouped them up with Corsairs. Every single shuttle is filled up with Zealots and Templars. He's going to try to drop them right on top of the minerals of Roller, but Roller has a lot of units placed around his main as drop defense. And he's stimming his Marines, going to try to stim down the Templars, but oh, there, looks like the shuttle with the Templars got sniped down by the Marines. That's very unfortunate for Hiwi, because if he had gotten... It's kind of like a gamble. As a Terran player, you just pick one of the shuttles and focus it down, and it just so turned out that Roller picked the correct shuttle, which really sucks for Hiwi. But Hiwi now flying in another drop, and there's 4 Templars in there. And this time he does get all of his Templars out there, and the Templar gets a storm off on the SCVs of Roller, and Roller loses almost all of his SCVs to the storm drop. But this time, luckily for Roller, he has 5 command centers and a lot of overmine, so he will be able to replenish his SCV count very rapidly in the span of maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe, yeah, 2 minutes should be enough to replace all of those SCVs. And he's moving out all of his units into the middle, trying to find the fight and start a fight with Hiwi. But Hiwi has a lot of Templars that just make very quick work of these Marines, and the Marines don't get stimmed out of the storms. And yeah, the entire mass that Roller just sent out is already gone. That's what happened with Marines. Marines are awesome for the early game, but in the late game, Marines just get stormed down so very quickly that it's not worth having them out on the map. It's just better to have a lot of tanks, Goliaths, Vultures. And actually now this might be a very bad situation for Roller. I mean, he's gonna lose these tanks here at the front to the Zealots, but the Zealots already are on 1-1-1 upgrades, whereas the tanks for Roller are on 0-0, and the Marines that he had are on 1-0. He's no longer making Marines to help him defend. And he has an incomplete wall. He's going to have to plug up the wall really quickly. Although, Hiwi is not going to go for a frontal attack. He's not really the kind of person to go for frontal attacks. He's always going to hit the minerals first with mass drops, mass storms. And there's a little bit of a delay between the drop this time. Usually he is the kind of player to throw out drops non-stop, continuously every 30 seconds or so. And just keep the Terran player on their toes. But this time he's flying around, but he gets found by the raids. The raids taking down the shuttles really quickly, but not quickly enough. And Roller is going to have to pull his SCVs off of his minerals, but there is a Templar there, but the Templar doesn't have energy for the storm. That's so unfortunate for him. If he had just waited a couple of seconds longer, he would have had energy for his Templar to storm most of Roller's workers again. But it's not meant to be. These last 2 games have been very unfortunate for Hiwi in regards to his Templar drops. Because the last game he had no Templar upgrade. No storm upgrade. When he got multiple Templars on top of Roller's minerals and Roller didn't pull his SCVs off his minerals. And this time it's not having energy for the storm. So Roller able to completely replenish his SCV count, get his mineral income back up to par where he wants it to be. A lot of SCVs there as anti-drop, flying out onto the middle, sniping. He's doing his best to snipe some shuttles, but the shuttles get through, dropping zealots on top of buildings. And another drop is flying, the real drop is flying in from the bottom side. And the raids were out of position, they will not be able to respond in time. But the storm does go off, but the storm only kills 8 SCVs. Because Roller pulled all of his... Did he just kill a bunch of his own SCVs there with splash damage? I don't think he did. Something died there very closely, but it wasn't the SCVs dying to splash damage from tanks hitting a zealot. And Hiwi still trying his darned hardest to get damage on Roller's minerals in. I mean, he succeeded once, but Roller was so rich that he could, and had so many CCs that he could immediately replenish, and the drop flies in and the shuttles get focused down by the raids before they can even get in dropping range of the minerals, and a single zealot does come out, but a single zealot unable to get on top of the SCVs to force the tank splash damage to take SCVs down anyway. And he's got a lot of raids there. He might even try to go for a main snipe with his raids once he feels safe enough to throw his raids away. But first he's gonna try to go for the frontal push. And Hiwi dropping zealots on top of tanks inside of Roller's base, but the zealots don't do much damage at all. 1 or 2 tanks go down to tank splash damage, but the raids chase down the shuttles, take down the shuttles and the front. Yeah, these units walking into the front aren't really posing much of a threat to Hiwi. And there's a drop coming in from the bottom, but there's 3 Templars in there and a single zealot, 2 Corsairs meant to take away focus from the shuttle, from the turrets, and there's another drop coming in from the top. He's sending them both in at the same time. I'm going to be really curious to see how this one is going to work out. Because drop from the top is definitely going to get sniped down by the raids. Oh wait, he does get the Templars out, and then the Templar storms all of the raids, and all of the raids die. Then he gets another storm off on the SCVs, but most of the SCVs were already pulled out into the middle of the map. So most of the SCVs were completely safe. Though he did lose this side of the SCV, so I think he lost about 20 SCVs there that were unhotkeyed. And he lost all of his raids too. So now it's going to be a little bit easier for Hiwi to go in through the front, because the raids won't be there to help with assisting taking down units. And Hiwi very smartly dropping units and zealots on top of the tanks. Tanks dying to splash damage and dying to the zealot blades. And there is another drop flying in, but the shuttle is empty. He's trying to make Roller force to pull off his SCVs off his minerals and halt his income again. And these Dragoons here in the front being taken down by tanks, and the tanks taking quite a while because the Dragoons are on 2-3-2 upgrades, so they're way stronger than they appear to be against tanks, because tanks are still on 1-1 upgrades. 2-2 upgrades are almost finished, about halfway done. Another drop flying in from the top, and this time he's got nothing in there, actually, nothing. That is because there is a real drop coming in from the bottom right side of Roller's base, but it really depends on which side Roller sees first. There's even a third shuttle flying in, and Roller focuses on the distraction drop. He pulls off his SCVs though, and he does get a storm on the SCVs, but the SCVs being way too buff, way too tank, and they go back into the storm, and he lost his SCVs anyway, despite the beautiful dodge. He was being too eager, pulled the back before the storm had ended, and he loses his SCVs anyway. And now he is in the worst possible position imaginable. The only thing he's got going for him is that he has a little bit over 12 SCVs back on his minerals, as he pulled some SCVs off of the gas to help mine and recover his income. And one thing he's got going for him is that he's got a lot of tanks spread out around his base, making it very hard for Hiwi to do damage with a frontal attack. though, these almost completely and fully upgraded ground units will be able to get in there, and he's dropping units on top of the tanks. Tanks killing tanks, zealots being on top of the tanks, killing the tanks, because they no longer get focused down. So Hiwi does manage to clear a hole here in the middle, and he's going to try to run his zealots onto the SCVs, but he doesn't get in there. And the Wraiths were doing a great job in assisting against defending against these units that Hiwi is sending out into his base. And this is actually quite refreshing to see, because this is not the usual carrier meta that you so often see or saw recently in the last couple of months, where people would just go straight into carriers. And to be honest, carrier fights are not that fun to watch. But I also have to admit that zealot fights can be kinda trippy, because zealots can look very bad when they just walk in and die. But Hiwi has been doing so well with dropping zealots on top of tanks, and the drop is flying in from the top side while the Wraiths are distracted at the front. And the SCVs do get pulled off the minerals, and there are no Templars in there. Or is there? No Templars in there, just zealots. He's just trying to deal damage, clear out units, clear out turrets on the top side, in preparation for his next drop, as his shuttles... Well, he's producing those shuttles actually. He's just going for the full frontal attack. He's just trying to bother Roller's income. And I'll be quite honest, I do think this next attack at the front might be able to do a lot of damage, if it wasn't for these tanks standing on the hillside that are gonna be tripping out these zealots, forcing Hiwi to manually control all of his zealots into Roller's base. And Hiwi is again going to walk all of his zealots very deeply into Roller's base, in between the factions. He's going to try to walk these Templars. Oh, he EMPs all the Templars before they can get into the range of storming the SCVs. So instead of going for the drop, he just walks in with his Templars, which is actually a really nice move, because there's so much open room. And it would force Roller to either target fire the Templars with his tanks, or just EMP them, which is way easier, and which he did. He EMP'd them and stopped Hiwi from executing his plan. So now Hiwi is going back to producing shuttles again, because he knows that he might not be able to walk his Templars in all the way to storm the minerals. Well, he's gonna try again, I'm sure, but Hiwi has so much energy on his vessels that he again just EMPs all the Templars and forces Hiwi to turn them into Archons. But regardless of that little fact, a lot of these zealots do get in quite deep, but these tanks here on the hill are doing God's work by making all these zealots that are being A-moved in through the front from tripping out, trying to attack the tanks on the hill, but being able to do so. And here he clears out the tanks on the hill by dropping some zealots on there, and he preemptively drops a zealot on this one, but the zealots that he preemptively dropped on that other hill get taken down by the siege tank, and the drop flies in from the top side again. And Roller notices, but Roller, he snipes the Templar before he can get the storm off. Really nice work. I mean, it's very risky work to try and attempt a snipe on the Templar, because you might still be able to lose your SCVs if you're not quick enough, or if the Protoss player is quick enough, or if you misclick and click right next to the Templar, you're still gonna lose your SCVs. But it ends up working in his favor, and another drop already flying in from the bottom right side. And Roller does not respond in time. He does respond, eventually pulls most of his SCVs off of his minerals and does manage to save most of his SCVs, but he did lose about 10 or 12 SCVs to the storm. And a couple of SCVs lost is always better than no SCVs lost. For the Protoss, not for the Terran. For the Terran, losing SCVs is always a bad situation. And there's already another drop, but this time Hiwi has Corsairs with an observer, and these raids are going to go down. I mean, be distracted by the Corsairs while this drop flies in just around it, and Roller again forced to pull off his SCVs, but this time there are only zealots inside the shuttles, and the zealots take down a bunch of tanks down there. But the Wraiths very quickly taking down the Zealots before they can take down even more tanks, or take down more SCVs. While this is happening, Hiwi has grouped up a huge amount of units in the front. And he's just gonna spread them out a little bit. And he's gonna attack at the same time as the drop is gonna go in. And here comes the main force going in through the front, ready to kill a lot of Roller's units, and another drop flying in from the top side while he's distracted with the front, and he snipes. No, he loses most of his SCVs. He tried to snipe the Templar, but he realizes the Templar got out and got a storm up, so he has to pull off his SCVs regardless, but he loses almost all of the SCVs he had on there. A really good storm from Hiwi, and a really risky snipe play from Roller that this time, as I've already mentioned before, can backfire very hard. A drop flies in from the top side of the base, and now he's just dropping units on top of the factories and up the tanks. He's storming a bunch of tanks. A lot of tanks got cleared out there. So the next frontal attack from Hiwi will be opposed by less tanks than before. And considering Roller's production had been cut in half, or maybe even worse, by that really good storm drop that we got on the minerals. More units coming in from the front, killing tanks, killing Goliaths, and being kited around. More tanks again being dropped on the high ground, but this time Hiwi has an observer giving him vision of the high ground, so these Dragoons will be able to take down the tanks on the high ground, preventing his units on the ground from tripping out. Although, yeah, his units are still tripping out regardless. But now he has Zealots down on the bottom side, and he storms again, and he kills a bunch of SCVs. I missed it. I missed the shuttle. That's the first drop I've missed flying in, but Roller managed to save most of his SCVs. He does lose a couple of SCVs again. And honestly, this is just a non-stop onslaught of attacks from every single direction. Non-stop. I can totally see Hiwi / 458 being one of the best PvT players out there. Because this guy is so good at just non-stop attacking that he doesn't even have to go for carriers. This guy is just forcing you to focus on so many things at once. And he's doing it with such great control. This is honestly really amazing to watch. Another drop flies in. Templars come out, and the Templars storm almost all of the SCVs, and Roller quits without calling the GG. And that is game number 3. This time again won by Hiwi. Hiwi showing off a beautiful PvT by changing up his strategy to specifically counter whatever Roller was planning on throwing at him. And he put so much pressure on Roller that Roller is just, yeah, being toyed with almost. I mean, Roller fought it off really well for such a long time. But all it takes is a couple of mistakes chained together, and the Protoss will roll you over. I guess that's why his name is High Roller. Yeah, beautiful game. Thanks for watching this one. I will do game 4 and 5 some other day, or I won't do them at all. Just depends on how I'm feeling. Though I really do feel that I owe that game number 4, at least. Maybe even game number 5. Yeah, anyway, enough of the rambling. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll tune back in the next time. Goodbye.